Tesla stock today has retaken a critical level of resistance and should now be support on the technicals. As Tesla stock is up over 0.5% today, you're starting off this $5.4 trillion of redeployment into our markets on a strong note for Tesla. And it does seem like Tesla is benefiting from it. Here in this video, we will get into all of your Tesla stock news and what's going on in the markets today. First up, as I mentioned, Tesla stock is up over 0.5% at the time of recording this video. So far on the day today, you've been green for Tesla. Now, you've actually lost about 50% of the gain. At one point, you were sitting at about $188 per share. Currently, Tesla's at $184 per share. So you are giving some of that back as we head into the later part of the trading day. But still, that deployment, that redeployment of capital, that $5.4 trillion of money that expired last week, some of it is positioning into Tesla today, and that's a good sign. And believe it or not, we actually don't have that much big news that is actually driving this price action, which I think makes it a little bit more interesting because you're really up to the redeployment of this capital and where people are positioning their money in what's driving Tesla today. But there is some news today, so let's get into it. It is being reported that Xpeng CEO will soon release a Tesla and Waymo self-driving experience report. He was recently in the US and tested both services. Tesla China is displaying its Cybertruck and other vehicles at the China World Intelligent Expo. And it looks like we are seeing a last-ditch push of the Model 3 to end the quarter. And about 40 Cybertrucks have been spotted waiting to be delivered at a store in Florida. LG is on track to begin mass production of its 4680 batteries in August. LG also has another 4680 plant with a capacity of 36 gigawatt hours in Arizona, United States, which will be operational in 2026. The California Air Resources Board, the CARB, has introduced incentives of up to $14,000 on EVs under a new driving Clean Assistance Program, DCAP. The new scheme is aimed at promoting clean mobility among low-income consumers. The Tesla Cybertruck's international tour is going to Thailand for the summer and will be touring the country until September. China wants the EU to scrap plans to impose preliminary tariffs on Chinese electric vehicle imports by July 4th, after both sides agreed to negotiate a possible compromise. And take a look at this. Construction workers have a secondary off-market rack here, and look at what they are putting into the Cybertruck. That's some insane weight from what I can tell, and it looks like the Cybertruck handles it just fine. Gary Black writes on X, the next Tesla data point is Q2 deliveries due out in 8 days. In my opinion, Wall Street remains way too high at 442,000 deliveries. That would be negative 5% year-over-year growth. My Q2 estimate is now 420,000, which is negative 10% year-over-year, which would be worse than Q1, negative 8.5% year-over-year. Wall Street's Q2 delivery estimates have been coming down in recent weeks, but are likely to fall more between now and next week. Perhaps a bigger potential negative is full year 2024 delivery estimates, where Wall Street is still predicting almost no year-over-year growth of 1.811 thousand versus 1.809 thousand in full year 2023. I am now at 1.7 million for full year 2024, down 6% year over year, which is likely to drop further if Tesla misses again with Q2 deliveries. Another deliveries miss is likely to cause Tesla's full year 2024 EPS estimates to fall further, currently $2.45, which is negative 36% year to date, and versus my full year 2024 adjusted EPS estimate of $2.20 per share. I mean, coming on July 2nd, Tesla needs to give us a very, very strong number, because, I mean, last number that we had was just not great. I mean, let's consider for a moment. Tesla delivered 386,000 vehicles. So just doing some simple math here, let's add 386,000, just keep it at a round number to make it, that much more simple. And let's say Tesla comes in around Gary Black's estimate of 420,000 deliveries. That means you're only at 806,000 deliveries for this year. Just to get to Wall Street's estimate, that would mean, basic math here, Q3 and Q4 have to come in at 500,000 deliveries or higher. That's a tough bar to meet. Now, Elon Musk said he believes that this year's deliveries will be higher than next year. So, for an example, you'd have to see something like 500,000 vehicles sold next quarter. That'd be 1.3 million deliveries. And then like 600,000 vehicles sold in Q4. And then that would be 1.9 million deliveries. Then you'd actually be positive on a year-over-year growth rate. But you see how as deliveries come in lower for Q1 and not as great for Q2 as per, what Gary Black is estimating. I think deliveries can come in a little bit higher than 420,000, maybe even as high as 450,000, but point remains the same. You're going to have to see some more record quarters throughout this year just to have a positive year-over-year delivery number, which, again, the environment's difficult. It's not Tesla's fault. There's not too much that Tesla can do. And I think Tesla's doing the best thing that they can possibly do. They're buying down the interest rate. They're boosting demand in the most effective way that they can, much more effective than actually cutting prices. If only they were cutting the rate, financing rate, buying down the rate beforehand, that probably would have been a much better strategy from the start for Tesla. But you can critique all you want. It's important what they're doing now. And if you take a look at Google Trends data and the interest over time, you are sitting at all-time highs for search trend activity into Tesla products. I mean, by far, it's obvious. This is the highest that all of your Tesla products have been for search trend data ever. Okay, now the Model 3 has been higher in 2018, 2019. A lot of that was probably investor driven, as Tesla's not in a great place as far as the Model 3 ramp. But just looking at this chart for what it is, you're at the highest levels you have seen in Tesla's business history. I think that likely translates into some good demand. Does it translate into 500, 600,000 vehicles delivered in the next 2 quarters? I don't know about that, but we will talk about all of this a little bit more in depth in the next video, so stay tuned to the channel for that, coming out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. One reason why Tesla stock may be outperforming the broader indexes today, I guess another reason for this could be the fact that it's being reported that 14% of Tesla's staff has been laid off, not just the 10% that Tesla and Elon were originally forecasting. So more layoffs could mean higher profitability levels. And it's also being reported that layoffs could exceed 20% of Tesla's overall staff. We're on StockTwits, sentiment for Tesla is pretty bad today, sitting at 33, which is bearish. Yesterday, you were neutral at 53. So definitely worse than where we were yesterday. Message volume today is normal at 47. Yesterday it was low at 37. And the participation ratio today is high at 57, which is higher than where we have been in the last couple of weeks. Google Trends data for full self-driving looks pretty good as well. It's actually ticking upwards from 22 to 23 in this past week, which again, this is one of those things where it just tells you how much interest there is into full self-driving. If there's more interest into full self-driving, if trends are higher, then that means likely what? Take rates are higher. Adoption is higher. So we'll see, hopefully, if we get new information on Tesla's next earnings, whether or not the take rate is now higher than what we thought. And that could help offset some of the EPS pressures that Tesla is going to face over the next couple of quarters, because that's basically straight to the bottom line. Tesla continues to run about 4,000 different ads with Google. Global inventory is now falling for the Model Y from recently being as high as about 6,300 down to just above 5,000. The Model 3 has recently risen from 2,500 to 4,000, which is quite the jump. The Model X as well as the Model S have both recently fallen from about 5,000 down to about 3,000 for the Model S and about 3,700 for the Model X. Here today, CNN's Fear and Greed Index is still sitting at 41, which again is pretty interesting considering the S&P and the NASDAQ are still pretty close to their all-time highs, less than 1% off of all-time highs. And CNN's Fear and Greed Index in fear territory, I've never seen that before in my investment lifetime, and I don't know if we will again. It's really just showing how concentrated, how top-heavy this market really is. That will either lead to a broadening out of our markets and your underperformers starting to catch up and starting to do better, or it's going to lead to a catch down, which is your big tech stocks come down to match the rest of the markets. Let me know whether you think we're going to see a catch up or a catch down in broad equities. And let me just tell you right now, whatever happens here in the broader markets does and will affect Tesla. Again, that's why Tesla is down from 188 today, is because the S&P 500 is starting to slip towards the end of the trading day. Tesla stock today has short interest of 3.66%, $18.58 billion currently sold short in the stock, 101.51 million shares that are currently sold short. And today you have return shares of 921,000, borrowed shares of 659,000. That means you're actually seeing on net about 262,000 shares that are actually being covered today, which makes sense because Tesla's stock had a very strong first half of the day today. The option activity in Tesla stock today is very positive as well. You have 15 orders totaling $5.89 million with a positive order value of 77%. Now, these are trades from big money investors that come up in the interesting flow sentiment. If you take a look at this Friday's expiration, you have volume today of about 68% calls and about 32% puts. So that's a 0.47 put to call ratio as far as volume. That means there's roughly about 2 times as many calls being bought today than puts. If you take a look at the open interest, you have 73.74% calls and 26.26% puts. That's almost 3 times as many calls for this Friday's expiration than puts. So there definitely is a bullish skew for Tesla stock this week. As I have said before, Tesla's pretty well hostage to the broader markets, at least until July 2nd, meaning so whatever happens in the markets, Tesla is probably just gonna do what the markets do. We do have earnings this week, tomorrow and after hours. This one will be very important. You have FedEx. Wednesday, pre-market, you have Paychex and General Mills. Wednesday and after hours, you have Micron, BlackBerry, and Levi's, as well as Jeffries. Thursday, pre-market, Walgreens and McCormick. And then Thursday and after hours, you have Nike. FedEx, Micron, and Nike, a key focal point of investors for this week's earnings lineup. I think Micron's an interesting one because Micron has recently rallied big time on your AI hypium or hopium, whatever you want to call it, and actually just got some pretty large price target increases from some of your investment banks. And you're set up with high expectations heading into it. And if Micron misses or gives us bad guidance or something along those lines, then that's obviously going to upset the rest of the AI trade. And yeah, there's actually been quite a bit of insider selling in Micron recently. That doesn't mean Micron's going to necessarily miss, but it doesn't look great heading into their earnings on Wednesday. As I mentioned to start the video, Tesla has retaken the level of resistance we've seen on Friday, which is this trend line here. Just a simple trend line that I have had drawn on the chart for a while now, connecting this low back April of 2023 and the first gap up that we've seen after the whole Elon selling Tesla stock to buy Twitter debacle that sent Tesla stock down to $100 per share. Just connecting that trend line, which I've had drawn here on the charts for a long time, to your other major levels of resistance around that 188 level, Tesla stock holding above this trend line at about 183.50 is a great sign. Tesla stock right now is $183.67 per share. I don't know what's going to happen into the end of the trading day today, but I mean, Tesla's technicals are just so simple and easy, right? Tesla is a very technically oriented stock. So when you hold support like this at a major trend line, that's a great sign. Now, you got rejected at that 188 level of resistance, in which we have over and over and over again. So I don't know what happens between now and July 2nd, but if we get above 188, that's going to be great. If we fall here, which I'm more leaning towards a negative kind of market overall, then you want to watch that 20-day moving average at about $178.66 and your 100-day moving average at about $178 flat. That should be the level of support. Although in the last couple of days, we've really bounced at about 180, which looks like a pretty good level of support as of right now. So there's actually a pretty close, trading range or tight trading range for Tesla as of the last couple of days. And well, that probably does continue for a period of time. Take a look at the RSI. The RSI in Tesla is 55.36, which is pretty well neutral. The MACD lines look very good. MACD line itself at 2.17 and the signal line at 1.60, going upwards in a nice direction, starting to widen the gap a little bit more. All of that looks pretty good for the bulls. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. TLT slightly green on the day today, up about 3 cents. Oil is up 1.23% today. Not great for inflationary pressures, but a good sign for economic activity. Typically, oil, if it's going up, is a good sign for economic activity. If it goes down, and that's a bad sign for a potential, recession or slowdown. The dollar is up 0.23% today. Also not great for markets. Apple really leading the day higher, up 1.2%. Nvidia down 5.7% today, just getting absolutely reamed as of lately the last couple of days. So it's really been your other big tech stocks that have helped to keep this market higher. And Nvidia is really having a wide market effect on the NASDAQ, which is down almost 1% today. You do have the S&P that is down 0.06% today. The Dow is really the biggest outperformer. A little bit of a rotation definitely taking place today. The Dow is up 0.66%, and the Russell is actually up 0.5% as well today. VIX also up 1.7%. So a little bit of fear out there, a little bit of hedging definitely taking place, and a lot of selling in some of your NASDAQ stocks like Nvidia. So with that said, let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.